Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of the CHGO White Sox postgame show. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. And alongside me, as always, is the full CHGO White Sox crew. We got Vinnie Duber on the far left. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's a CHGO White Sox beat writer. And the man in the middle is Herb Lawrence. Hello. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's a CHGO White Sox community leader. And we are joining you after a White Sox win. The White Sox win 8-2. They win their 7th straight game on Sundays. They improve to 13-6 on Sundays. A very take care of business day. We said you're going up against Spencer Howard, a guy who has struggled this year. You got to take care of business. They did that today. Before we get into the game here, the White Sox splitting with the Rangers, we do want to mention, you see it on the screen right there. If you're watching right now on YouTube, we got a brand new shirt in the CHGO locker. If you want to become a member, a CHGO member, and haven't yet, right now is a perfect time to become a CHGO member, get a free t-shirt, and get this one to be your free t-shirt. You got size C's. You get the mustache represented well. Very excited for this brand new release. So check the link in the description below in our YouTube channel right now. It's in the description of the YouTube video. It'll also be in the description of the podcast. But we got a brand new t-shirt celebrating the White Sox best player in 2022. So White Sox win, got a brand new shirt. Feeling good, Herb.
It is a great victory for the White Sox. You had Lucas Giolito struggle again, but got out of it, got through 5 innings. As you said, he struggled to get to 5 innings, but the White Sox bats woke up versus a Spencer Howard who is, no damn good. And it was good to see that Andrew Vaughn treated him as such. And the White Sox had hits for days today. It was good and Alex Rude started off with the Lurie haters are shook, or owning the haters. Lurie Garcia, 3 hits today and created a run just by himself by hustling to first, and then on the air by the Rangers, hustling all the way from first base to home and scoring the 8th run of the game. So I'll crap on him when he does poorly, but I got to give him credit right here. He got some revenge on his former mates out there in Texas. I'm sure there's nobody still in Texas when Lurie was back there. So it's a good victory. And splitting versus the Rangers is not ideal, but it's on the road. They win at home. So I'll take what they give me.
After the way that those first 3 games of this series went for this offense, This was exactly what they needed to show, that they're still capable of doing this kind of thing. Obviously, like we talked about in the pregame, doesn't mean that the next game is going to look like this, because the way this season has gone, it's been kind of, one step forward, one step back when it comes to offensive production. But this would be the example. This would be the template that you would want if you're the White Sox to use moving forward, because this is exactly what a lineup like theirs is supposed to be capable of doing, putting up a big number, putting up a couple of crooked numbers throughout the day, and putting up a very large number of hits and just kind of an onslaught against the opposing pitching staff. Certainly the Rangers, with the quality of the starting pitcher that they sent out there today, this was probably not too hard to predict that something like this could happen, but we've seen it a lot from the White Sox this year when a pitcher of that sort of caliber has not been the recipe for offensive success for them. So to be able to get that today was big. They need to do it a lot more if they're going to move ahead of the Minnesota Twins, who they are not very far behind right now.
Yeah, and taking care of business. Again, they haven't lost a series. They've only lost 1 series since July. They've lost 1 series, the July 4th, 5th, and 6th series at home against Minnesota. That's the only one that they have dropped. Outside of that, they've either been splitting or winning series. So at least staying afloat, and you look back, the last time they were more than 3 games out was July 24th. So this team has been able to keep that 3-game, 2-game deficit. We just want to see it get to 1 game. Maybe they'll even be at a tie at the AL Central soon enough. And it should come anytime now, because right now the White Sox have 4 games coming up against the Royals. They got 3 games coming up against the Tigers. The Twins and Guardians have been able to stay afloat above the White Sox so far, but right now, Herb, it feels like if the White Sox want to jump into first place, this is going to be the next 7 games to do it before you welcome in Houston to on Chicago on the 15th.
Yeah, and I believe that the Minnesota Twins go to L.A. and face the Dodgers for 2 games. So that's going to be a tough test for them, while the White Sox are playing also ran a lesser team. But the Royals have been playing pretty good ball versus the Boston Red Sox, especially today. So the White Sox just got to take care of their business versus the Royals when they're in Kansas City. Doubleheader on Tuesday. It's a straight doubleheader, which, thank God, Royals, thank you very much. That split doubleheader stuff is just garbage. I know it's a cash grab, but these players can't be at the games too long. And I speak more for Vinnie and his comrades. I mean, Vinnie's not going to go there, but 12 o'clock game and then you got a 7 o'clock start? No, thank you. But the White Sox have an opportunity this week to win Sean a bet so I can shave my head. Or if you want some other bet, Sean, we can go with there. Because Sean bet that the White Sox will be in first place by August 12th, which is this upcoming Friday?
Yeah, and you instated Price is Right rules.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you were the one who jumped out to do the August 12th thing. I didn't tell you to do that stuff.
I don't even remember agreeing to shave my head.
All right.
Well, here's a question that I have, and I'm sure some viewers have it as well. The August 12th mark, they could conceivably be in first place before August 12th and then fall out of first place by August 12th. Yeah. What is the situation there if that were to occur?
It's just getting to first place.
So if they hit first place before the 12th and then they fall back out of first place, it still counts as them being in first place by August 12th.
It's the first time that they're in first place.
Gotcha.
As long as that's on the 12th or before, then I don't lose. Which, again, I feel isn't fair because you picked the 22nd. So there's enough overlap right there to at least give us, an over-under situation here. Again, Steven said August 16th.
But you said the 12th.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I didn't force you into the 12th.
True.
You volunteered that.
That's true. Hey, I mean...
And here's another one. Games go late on the 12th, and they don't move into first place until the 13th. What happens in that situation?
Sean loses.
Come on. No.
Like after midnight on the 13th, is that count as still the 12th?
No.
Yeah, I would say if the White Sox win before the clock strikes midnight, I still think that it counts, that they move in, because it's a win on the 12th. That pushed them into first place.
Incorrect.
Well, right, that's what he's saying. But what if they don't win until after midnight? What if the game goes long or there's a rain delay or something? What if that Cascade concert doesn't get off to the start that everybody has to stay up late for Cascade?
When the game starts. So
the game starts.
Yes. Okay. So if the White Sox on Cascade Day start on 6:10 against the Tigers, Minnesota starts out in LA at 8:38. So if that one ends at 1 a.m. Central time, right, I still think it should count because it started on Friday, August 12th. Let's talk a little bit about this before we get into this matchup and the 8-2 victory here, because the White Sox, have a favorable schedule. They got 4 games against Kansas City, 2 on the 9th, 1 on the 10th, 1 on the 11th, and then again welcoming Detroit for a 3-game series on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Minnesota plays the Dodgers on the 9th and 10th, and then the Angels on the 12th, 13th, and 14th, and then the Guardians play the Tigers on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and then the Blue Jays on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. We saw Toronto somewhat take care of the Twins. The Twins had 2 wins in that series. Friday was a close one, and then this one came down to extra innings today as well. They actually split that series because they had played a 4-game series, so they lost on Thursday, lost on Sunday, and won on Friday and Saturday. What do we need exactly? Is it just all losses? Like if Minnesota just loses to the Dodgers here, that's all you need? Or what's more important for the White Sox to take over first place here? I guess it's stupid. Obviously wins, but I mean...
I don't think we're there yet. You know what I mean? It's August. It's early August. We're talking more about your bet at this point than we are actually where the White Sox need to be. The White Sox need to have one more win than the Twins do on the final day of the season. That's really what it comes down to. Preferably they have one for the White Sox. They have at least one more than the Guardians as well. But yeah, the idea being that, and there's a perfectly good comment down there, from a White Sox fan, who cares what the Twins do, worry about the White Sox. It makes sense. I mean, if from the White Sox perspective, win games. There's enough time left that we're not necessarily needing to scoreboard watch quite yet. I understand the idea is that, oh boy, this could be the time they move into first place kind of thing, but there's only one day that they need to be in first place, and that's the last day of the season.
And Tom, we're us worrying about the Twins or the White Sox doesn't affect the Twins or the White Sox. So we will speculate on a podcast about the White Sox about what the Twins need to do. I mean, it's obvious. The White Sox need to only worry about what the White Sox do, of course. But us here speculating on a podcast, that's of course needed. White Sox just need to keep on doing what you just said, Sean, winning series. They've won or split every series except for the one versus the Twins, especially when they play versus the Twins and or the Guardians. Win those series or split them. And I think eventually it'll shake out that the White Sox will have the better record than both of those teams. They don't have to play ass-kickingly great baseball, which they haven't, and look where they're at. They just played very mediocre, very poor baseball this whole year, and they're 2 games out. That's why it's so infuriating, because you know this team is no damn good. And you know the teams in front of them are no damn good. But eventually, the cream will rise to the top and the White Sox will win this division. That's all you know. But then you get to the playoffs, you know it's going to be all over. That's the frustrating part. And what Vinnie was talking about in the pregame, this year has just gone on a straight line. It's like Illinois, just flat as hell. Just
so it's
garbage.
Appropriate. There you go.
Just garbage all year long. We'll win. We'll be happy as hell. AL Central champs again. We'll grab our shirts and such, and then go and summarily get dismissed at the crib by some also-ran team that won the third wild card.
But I'm very interested to ask you this question, because I see a lot of it on, whether it's I'm at the game and I'm seeing it on Twitter, or I'm seeing it in the comments during our show, and obviously this is through the prism of the expectations that they had in the preseason. They were supposed to be a World Series caliber team. They have been very far from that, obviously, and so I understand that no matter what happens, if they're going to stay far from that, people are going to be disappointed in a way. But given the history of this franchise, would them winning a bad division and making the playoffs be, bad? Everybody says it like it's some real bad thing kind of thing. I understand that it would be disappointing given the preseason expectations, but just in general, the White Sox making the playoffs, it doesn't happen very often.
Right, but that's why I think with how easy this division is, how weak this division is, and with how much money is being spent on this team, the 7th highest payroll in baseball. If this team fails, it just kind of is the biggest gut shot to fans.
Even if they win the division and make the playoffs, I'll put it this way: it doesn't need to be seen as succeeding, because they will have failed their own expectations.
Yeah.
But is there some joy to be had if you're a fan in watching a team that you root for that hardly ever makes the playoffs make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think White Sox fans, when they're in the playoffs, those 3 games will be hyped. Everybody will forget about all these games in the regular season. It's like, hey, we won enough games to win this division. Now we're in the tournament. Let's go and win them, because we have some of the best pitching in baseball. But if and when they fall short, I think we're going to look back and say, you know what, it was good to win 2 consecutive AL Central divisions. But that's not our goal. At the ultimate goal is winning the World Series or getting to compete in the World Series. And I guarantee Rick Hahn's going to be like, hey, man, I didn't say that we were going to be winning World Series. Yeah, ask me after the parade. I said, we're going to be in position to be competing for championships. And technically he could say getting to the playoffs 3 years in a row is in position to win a championship, to contending for championships. So, 10 years from now, when we're looking back, it's like, man, those are some golden years when the White Sox were in the playoffs all the time. And winning that 2022 championship wasn't, satisfying at the time, but look back now, it's like, you know what? They persevered through some bullshit hitting, some managing, bad managing, and they won. So I guess after hindsight, you can say it, but in the moment right now, no. I think this team is mediocre at best, and the teams in front of them are the same. And then if you win and you're just the tallest guy, I don't want to say that word. I want to say,
then.
Yeah, I was going to say that word, but I was going to say, if you're the tallest of the shorter people, it doesn't really matter, really. Right now, it wouldn't really matter.
So is there really no situation in which, again, certain fans covers a large number. People are happy with different levels. I'm just kind of interested in the psychology. That's why I keep asking this. Is there really no situation besides winning the World Series in which people are happy?
I think getting to the ALCS which was my initial thing this year, would be a successful season for this team.
Seeing progress was always my thought. So if they get past the first round, I think that would be a success. I'm not expecting them to beat the Yankees and Astros. I mean, I have no expectation even before they played, subpar baseball for 108 games. I had no expectation that they'd be able to beat the Astros or Yankees. I thought those teams were much better than the White Sox heading into the season, and they've proven that this year. I agree with Herb. Like, if they make the playoffs, I'm not going to act like I don't sit here every pregame show and pick the White Sox to win about 80% of the games. I sit here and say, oh, they're going to win today. Oh, they're going to win today. If they're in a 3-game playoff series, absolutely I am excited for the White Sox. I have the thought that, they're in and they have a puncher's chance is something that I think Dan Payton said. If they hit 15 times in a playoff game, they're probably going to put themselves in a good spot to win, and we've seen this pitching be decent. Lucas Giolito had a decent game today. Every time Johnny Cueto goes out, he at least puts them in a position to win. Dylan Cease has been, if not one of the best pitchers in the American League. So I think it's definitely, it's still fandom brain, right? I just don't want to believe it, or I just don't want to put all my chips in again on this team, because we've seen that they've been very good in 2020. We've seen that they've been very good in 2021, and we just haven't seen that team come back in 2022 just yet. So even if they limp into the playoffs, winning the AL Central, I don't know if I have confidence in that team that, oh wow, this is the team that Rick Hahn promised in this window.
Absolutely, and none of that is wrong. We talk about this for a living every day. And it's an interesting conversation, I think, and I like to hear the different vantage points, because it's gotten to a point now where I do have to kind of think to remember the days before I was, turned into an unbiased observer down at journalism school. But I remember being a young sports fan and watching my teams and being so excited when they made the playoffs, because for a while there, it's changed in the years since, but for a while there, in this town, we didn't get a lot of playoff teams. And so every time it happened, it was awesome, even if they lost in the first round, even if you knew they weren't as good as the other teams. I just remember being so excited about it. And now covering this team, I see a lot of reaction that is, literally comments that we see on here every day, or that I see on Twitter every day, that are like, who cares if they win the division? They're going to lose in the first round anyway. They might as well not even show up. And even if that happens, that's strange to me that you would go in with that opinion. And I think, too, it obviously, we live in a different era where you're so involved into it. You're so in the weeds with, you have access to every little bit of information that tells you exactly how good your team is. You're not just kind of turning on the TV one day and being like, oh, let's see how it goes today kind of thing. So it is interesting, and I think the conversation is interesting too. I'm not trying to make an argument. I'm doing a little research here through you two.
Yeah, and I think that even the hardest White Sox fan on the team will acquiesce to, okay, they've won the AL Central, and they'll be like, okay, let's go into the playoffs and see how they're going to ruin this. They're going to have a negative feeling about the matchup. And imagine if they win. There'll be pom-poms, black and white pom-poms just cheering up and down. I guarantee all the stuff that's happening right now with this season will melt away if this team wins games in the playoffs. Get to the playoffs first, but if those people you're talking about, they're like, who cares if they make the playoffs? They're going to get beat in the first round. Hell no. Those people will be yelling the loudest in the offseason, especially me. If they don't win this AL Central,
right,
mercy, I'm going to yell for years about this team, because this team not only was supposed to win the AL Central in a walk, they're supposed to compete for this championship, and they're not close. So, yes, they, as Sean said, have as good a chance as any because they have great pitching. And that short matchup in the first series with 3 games with Dylan Cease, throwing Johnny Cueto out there, and then Lance Lynn for right now, that would be my first 3. I think they can easily win a series if they have those guys and the bats are acting as such. But the bats haven't acted as such this year.
It's the biggest if with White Sox baseball is if the bats show up. And I don't know. You look at the potential playoff matchup. If they win the AL Central, they're likely going to play a 3-game series against Seattle in Chicago, which is great. But also they haven't been able to win at home this year. So it's like, what does a home series even do you? Would you be better going to Seattle and playing that there? I don't know.
Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray. Ugh, I'm real good.
Yeah, I'm all right. Those guys are going to kick our ass. And shout out to
Chef Fidel.
Yeah, Chef Fidel Garcia for the $2 super chat.
Fidel. Probably Che Fidel.
Che Fidel,
putting all the Cuban heroes together.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Shout out to Mr.
I
Garcia.
don't know about hero for Fidel, but
You said it, not me.
That's me. Yeah, I'm correcting myself. I'm status myself on the air.
White Sox are 2 games back in the AL Central, that lowly 8-game AL Central. They got 9 games left against the Twins. They got 6 games left against the Guardian. It's all about taking care of business. 5-8 versus
Get to the working overtime
Cleveland.
part.
Yes.
Yeah.
5-8 versus Cleveland so far, and 4-6 against Minnesota. Awesome. You look at Kansas City; they're 6-5 against Kansas City. Against Detroit, they're 7-3 against Detroit. So my main thing this whole entire year was take care of your business in the division. Defeat Minnesota, defeat Cleveland, defeat Kansas City, defeat Detroit. So far, you've been doing that against Detroit and Kansas City. You just haven't done that against Minnesota and Cleveland. So if you're able to take care of, finish with a winning record against Cleveland, or at least a 500 record, if you go 3-3 against them, that will put you at a nice spot. And then, Minnesota, if you're able to win more than 2 games of the last 9, if you're able to go 6-4, or not? That's 10 games. If you're able to go 6-3, you'll be able to pull out with a plus 500 record. So the White Sox can still turn around this season, and doing it by just, again, winning games and winning the games that they need to. All right. Want to take a quick break and let you know the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you download PointsBet app and use the code CHGO, you'll get 2 risk-free bets of $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. Right now is a perfect time to take advantage of this offer. Again, download the PointsBet app, use code CHGO, make a first-time deposit of $50 or more, and you'll unlock all of our web content. You'll get Vinny's articles on allchgo.com. You'll be able to join our CHGO Lounge, which is our CHGO Discord. Only our members are able to join that Discord and chat with us. And again, you get the free shirt, which is a perfect time because we just released the size C shirt on our website. You can go and buy this shirt. You can go to the link in the description right now and purchase this shirt. But if you want to get the whole bundle, the CHGO membership, where you get all that web content, like all of our great written articles, the access to the CHGO Discord, and you get that free shirt, this is a perfect time to take advantage. Again, $50 or more first-time deposit using the code CHGO when you sign up with the PointsBet app. You'll get a free CHGO membership, a free t-shirt, and again, you'll get $2,000 in free bets, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. You or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services. And our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started using Athletic Greens because they started sending in free samples to us, and I'm like, I don't know if I should use it. I started using it, and I have felt better than ever. Over the past 3 months, I have been using Athletic Greens, and it has helped me start my day right. With one delicious scoop of AG1s, I absorb 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to, again, help me start my day right. The special blends of ingredients helps support my gut health, my nervous system, my immune system, my energy, my ability to recover, my ability to focus, my ability to stay young, youthful, keep all those ages, those years off my face, all of the important things. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews, and it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. And right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop of cup of water in every day. That's it. No needs for millions of different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO-SOCKS. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO-SOCKS, CHGO-SOX. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, and shout out to Garcia. Chef, what'd you say?
Che Fidel,
thank you, for Cy Young Cease, dope shirt. Shout out to our guy Eric from DNVR for designing the shirt and getting the mustache just perfect on Cy Cease there. All right, let's talk about Lucas Giolito. Large game Lucas performed well today. He went 5 innings, allowing 1 earned run, but like we said, it wasn't the cleanest of games for Lucas. 3 walks, 6 hits allowed. He did strike out 5. What'd you guys make of Lucas's outing today?
Grind. He grinded again. I mean, at least this point, as time has gone on, it seems like it's been more. It happens like in one inning. There were a few, there was that stretch obviously there where he'd have a shaky inning, go back out there, have another shaky inning. They were piling up on him kind of. Lately, it's been one inning is a little shaky, but the rest of it is looking okay. But man, those walks and those deep counts today, the pitch count just piling up on him and preventing him from going much deeper into games. We know how much he cares about providing length, about getting to 7 innings in a game. When you only go 5, that's obviously not what he wants to get done, but only gave up 1 run. And so if that's going to be what he does, you're putting your team in a position to win because they're supposed to have a bullpen that they trust to get through it. They did today. Those other 4 bullpen arms got through it with only 1 other run on the board. So Lucas was good today. I don't think anybody would say he was great today, but he did what he needed to do, and that's what they need him to keep doing, especially if that's going to be the stepping stone, seeing the results, going out there and having games where he can limit teams to other, to small run totals, even when he doesn't still really have it clicking. Maybe that's the kind of thing that can get him to a point where he starts clicking. So I think, obviously him and Ethan Katz have been working very hard in between starts to try to make it happen. And until it clicks, this is probably the best you can ask for, a day where you only give up 1 run.
And that's what I always say. Like, he more likely than not this year has not had it. And so most of the games have been grinding out to get outs. That's it. Like, to get the 5 innings today was miraculous. He was like at 94 pitches through 4, and I was like, is he going back out there? But I think Tony likes to get his pitchers wins. I think James Fegan tweeted that out.
Yeah. Well, Tony said it enough that we can deduce that. Yeah.
And so he wasn't laboring in the 4th. His batting, I believe, was the 3rd inning where he kept on walking guys. So this is not the Lucas that we had last year. This is not the Lucas that has supreme stuff. He's struggling with it. I'm seeing only 93 on the gun. I'm not seeing that high velocity in the mid-90s. And his changeup, I think mostly he's throwing that low. I remember back in the day, he used to pair that with his fastball, and I know you had some things where the lack of velocity now and how close his fastball and his changeup are, that high changeup doesn't work anymore, and he's not doing it anymore. And his slider was a little bit more precise today. So baby steps with him. It's supposed to be our ace. He's not anymore. So I expect more than 5 innings and 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. You got to up that number a little bit more, but it's baby steps. And he gave the team a chance to win through his 5 innings. He only gave up that 1 earned run and then gave it to the bullpen. I would like for him to get to the 6th or 7th inning to give a little bit less reliance on the bullpen, especially with this team on the margins where they don't usually score a lot of runs. Today they did, so Lucas's outing looks a little bit more impressive, but on a day where it's 2-1 like it was on Friday, it might not look as impressive.
Yeah, and you talk about the changeup and him being able to locate it where it's being located. Really down and in is where he's trying to find that spot and find that location. You talk about him, typically trying to throw it up and in. A lot of it was being left inside today to right-handers. I don't think he wants to leave it out over the plate. So I think part of it, too, is a lot of the throwing changeups high is about confidence, and I don't know if he has that same confidence he did back in 2020 and 2021. Clearly, they're working on things, and he's trying to find that release point that is going to unlock everything for him. But if you want to take some bright spots, he hit the highest pitch velocity in the 5th inning. So when he was reaching those 100 pitches today, he reached 94.5 miles per hour against Adolis Garcia. So he was able to empty the tank and get out near 95, at least near the end of the outing today. So hopefully that's a good sign to see. Let's look at the pitch mix for Lucas today, because there is some interesting things in here that we can talk about. Lucas ends up throwing 44 fastballs, 43% of his pitches were fastballs today. 36 changeups, 35% of his pitches were changeups today, and 23 sliders, 22% of his pitches were sliders today. He ends up giving up an average exit velocity of 83.2 miles per hour. So again, soft contacts on 15 balls in play. He did get a double play to end the inning, which was nice off Corey Seager. Turned it on Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. He got 13 whiffs on 49 swings, 27% whiff rate, which is well above the MLB average. That's great to see. The changeup was working today, Herb. Again, down and in was a good plan for him. 7 whiffs on 19 swings on the changeup. But the thing that isn't really, great is a called strike plus whiff percentage of 24%. Not great for Lucas Giolito on the day. Average is 27% for major leagues, and he's just not finding that changeup in the zone. He's not able to find that slider in the zone for a called strike. He was able to get some whiffs on it. Good to see, but there still needs to be a little bit more of that sharpness. He still needs to be able to help himself out. And that is what leads to those 3 walks, is not being able to find the zone with those secondary pitches. Again, no called strikes on his changeup or slider today. If he's able to get those, especially early in the count, that's going to help him. Even Spencer Howard was able to find some of that today. He found that on 0-0 changeups and 0-0 curveballs. He had 4 called strikes on curveballs today. Those 0-0 breaking ball pitches, maybe that's where Lucas can end up finding some edges here and getting himself into more pitchers counts early against hitters.
And you're not locating. If you're not locating, those guys know you don't have it today. You can't find the changeup release point, and you can't find it to command and control where the balls go. They'll just wait until you throw your 4-seam fastball and sit on that, as many teams have done with him this year. But he grinded through and understood that the Rangers, for the most part, can't take him deep. We only saw the home run late in the game by Nathaniel Lowe, who had an awesome series. Man, that man provides a lot of power this week. And then that catch in the 8th or 9th inning was fantastic. But I think Lucas knew that they couldn't take him deep.
And he helped throw off the shackles of British tyranny also.
Thank you, Nathaniel. You're my guy. But that's a good thing to have. When you're struggling, you don't have it, and you don't have the confidence. I remember in that inning where Sebi went out and went to see him, and then the next pitch, it got hit hard, and then you get Ethan Katz going out to see him because they're just calming him down. Just say, hey, give him encouraging words. You're Lucas Giolito, man. Come on. You're LG. Remember when Vinny called you that? LG. And this is a big game for the White Sox. It might not be big for everybody else, but to split with the Texas Rangers and not coming back to Kansas City with a losing record on the road would be a good thing. And Lucas delivered enough to get the victory. I don't know if I would call it good enough.
I think there's good signs, definitely room for improvement for Lucas today, but one thing that just was shown, and especially with the heat map today, a lot of his 4-seam was centered in the middle of the plate, and then that slider breaking away to righties, a lot of it was to the outer half of the plate to righties. A lot of the sliders were focused on that half of the plate. All the changeups were focused on the inner half of the plate. So all of that's playing off of that same direction, that same thing that helped unlock him in 2019, where he's shorting that arm swing. All of the pitches are coming out of the same slot, exactly. And you got the changeup diving down, you got the slider going away, you got the fastball coming in hard. So good signs at least.
I would like to know how he feels that changeup is doing, because sometimes it feels like he's not confident in how it's going to break. To lefties, it's just breaking away from them, and then to righties, it's going into them. So sometimes it feels like he's not confident to throw it, so we'll break out his 4-seam fastball, which is 93 in the major leagues, that gets hit hard. And so if a candid moment, he's like, probably I don't have it right now, but I'm working on it. I'll get there. And, I don't have the velocity I have a couple years ago, but you know what? I can pitch. Greg Maddison had the velocity, neither did Mark Burley, but they learned how to pitch with lesser. And I think that's probably a big-time thing with him and Michael Kopech, to pitch when you don't have that fire. And now you have to pitch around the edges. You have to find the command and control to get people out in major leagues, because 93-mile-per-hour fastball down the middle without a spotted changeup or a spotted slider gets hit hard eventually.
Well, Herb, you called it good but not good enough, and I'll give you guys some insight into what the guys in the clubhouse are thinking, and that is good enough is as good as it gets. Not because, I'm sure Lucas feels he could have pitched a lot better today, but the point being that what is the most important thing for this team right now?
Wins.
They need to win games. Mm-hmm. And if your starting pitcher is going to go out there for even if it's only 5 innings, only allow 1 run, that's going to help you win games more often than not. Obviously we've talked ad nauseum about the White Sox not being able to capitalize on those kind of outings throughout the year. But moving forward, they need a win every day. And so every day, what they're going to do is they're going to try to get that kind of performance from a starting pitcher. If it's 6 innings, great. If it's 7 innings, even better. If it's 8, 9, fantastic. But only giving up 1 run, that's a key. And I talked to Lucas last week, and he told me, as we were talking kind of big picture stuff, one of the things he said was every game is so important. And it is, because not only have they, put themselves way behind where they thought they would be at this point, but the division is lined up where they're in a race. They're in a race, and this race could come down to the last week of the season, the last day of the season perhaps even. And so to give yourself 1 extra win on any given day, that's a big deal. And Lucas Giolito helped the White Sox do that today.
Well, and looking back at the start of August, you look at their losses. 1 loss was 2-1, so their pitcher putting them in a great position to win. They lost 3-2 to Texas. Again, Johnny Cueto put them in a great position to win, and then they lose 8-0. You can't win any games if you're not scoring any runs. Obviously, 8 runs, is a pretty large deficit there, but it wasn't like Kopech left the game with an 8-0 deficit, right? It was still 4-0, and they didn't have any runs on the board at that point. So again, it is all about the offense here. It really feels like the pitching, even if it hasn't been perfect. And I see Midwest Rippin saying Gio has a 5 ERA this past month, far from great. We're not saying he's been great, but again, he can still be okay, right, and they can get wins.
Because
this happened today.
This is in fantasy baseball.
Right.
This is, I'm seriously, like, people look at the stat lines and we look at them constantly and we're like, that needs to be better, that needs to be better, that needs to be better. But if the team wins, that's all that matters to them right now.
Well, and Giolito giving up 9 base runners, nothing's going to change because he's the starting pitcher. The trade deadline's passed. There's not a free agent out there that's going to take Lucas Giolito's spot in the rotation.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you don't like what Lucas Giolito is doing, you're stuck with him for the rest of the year. Well, so at least you want him to be going 5 innings and 1 earned run ball because, that's going to put them in a position to win.
Well, and listen, we were talking at the beginning of this show about how nobody's expecting them, if they are fortunate enough to win the division and make the playoffs, nobody's expecting them to beat the Yankees.
Yep.
Nobody's expecting them to beat the Astros. So if that's the case, what is your concern then that Giolito needs to be so much better for what? He needs to be as good as it takes for them to be better than the Twins by the end of the year. And right now that's what's in front of them. And then the next day they can worry about him needing to be good enough to beat the Yankees or beat the Mariners or whoever the hell they're playing.
If he wants to turn it on for the playoffs, I don't think any White Sox fan would be upset.
Right, but I think if he's going to go out there and throw 5 innings, a 1-run ball, that's really, really good for if you're the White Sox or a White Sox fan, because it means that more often than not your team's going to win the game.
Absolutely. And let's look a little bit ahead at the pitching matchups here for Kansas City after we tell you about our good friends over again at PointsBet. If you want to help support CHGO, if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from a CHGO locker. You see right below me, you see the new release, the size C shirt. This is a great time to take advantage of this offer. Go download the PointsBet app. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever. You can start living your bet life in seconds by downloading the PointsBet app, using code CHGO when you sign up. And if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all the web content. You'll be able to read all of our articles on allchgo.com, written by Vinnie Duber, written by Ryan Herrera of our Cubs beat, written by Jared Willis of our Cubs and Sox beat. He's just an MLB writer. We also have great training camp writing coming out from the Bears crew. You got all of your Blackhawks coverage from Jay, Mario, and Greg. You got Sky coverage. They just had a big win today. You got Fire and Red Star coverage. It's a great time to take advantage of this offer. You'll also get access into our CHGO Discord, where you can talk to me, Vinny, and Herb throughout the game. And again, you'll get the free t-shirt. So you're getting $50 to the best and fastest sportsbook out there. You're getting a free CHGO membership, and you're getting a shirt on top of it. Right now is the time to take advantage and support CHGO of this great, great offer ahead of you. Again, download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for once the game starts? Don't just bet. Live your bet life at PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. 4-game series coming up against the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City.
Yep.
Off day tomorrow. We will have a show for you at 2:30 p.m., and we'll probably do a little bit more of the previewing and recapping as well. But we got Lance Lynn on Tuesday, second game of the doubleheader. We can likely assume that either Reynaldo Lopez, who will be activated, might get some run in that. Davis Martin might get called up and activated for that start. I doubt Vince Velasquez will be ready by that point.
There are options. You've listed
Okay.
all the options. I would think that that the best of those to them would be Davis Martin. The way that he's been able to pitch for them so far this season, I would imagine that if they wanted to have the best chance of winning that game, that would be the guy they would call on. But I'm not quite sure how he's lined up down there in Charlotte, if he's been on the rest that would allow him to pitch there, or Vince Velasquez was on a rehab assignment the last we heard. Maybe that's something that could happen as well. And then there's always the old bullpen day. Not only that, they got an off day tomorrow. So obviously they would like to use that to get their guys some rest. Right. But if they feel like guys are rested enough, maybe they could even rearrange things a little more on that front and not really screw with guys' schedules too much. So I would think Davis Martin would be the favorite, but that does not mean he is a lock until the team says otherwise.
He last pitched on the 3rd, so unless he's pitching today, likely just going to, and they're delayed right now down in Gwinnett, and they have an off day, so it likely seems that Davis Martin will probably get the call up and join the White Sox on Tuesday. And we've seen that Davis Martin has had some good starts versus the Royals before, so I don't mind that. So it's going to be Lynn versus Singer, Davis Martin versus TBA, Cueto versus Bubic, and Cease versus Greinke. There's not a pitcher on that, lineup or that you're going up against right now that I'm afraid of, Herb. You just saw Brady Singer be handled by the White Sox. Chris Bubic is a lefty, and Zach Greinke's crafty, but he can't go longer than 5 innings nowadays in his career. I mean, the White Sox should handle business.
Yeah, I know they scored a bunch of runs, 8 runs versus Brad Keller. They get to skip him as he pitched today versus the Red Sox and did well for them. And also, our bugaboo, Daniel Lynch, pitched on Saturday, so thank Jesus we don't have to face that sumbitch ever. Well, this series in Kansas City's. White Sox schedule lines up for them. They got most of their good pitchers pitching this series coming up, and then I think Dylan Cease will pitch on Friday versus the Detroit Tigers, and he'll be in the house when Cascade's in the house too. So it'll be a good chance for the White Sox to take 3 or 4 in Kansas City. It'll be very disappointing if they lose to most of those pitchers. Zach Greinke is a veteran, so he stymies the White Sox from time to time. Bubic, they should have no problem with at all. And they have Johnny Cueto and Lance Lynn going to the bump, along with Davis Martin, who gives them a chance to win every time he goes out there. So if the White Sox bats show up versus the Kansas City Royals, which should be a hot series, I think the White Sox should take 3 out of 4. I said that same thing versus the Texas Rangers. There's no notable people in the Texas Rangers starting rotation, but Dane Dunning's out here throwing one-hitters. And we get to miss Martin Perez, and we still split with them. It'll be very disappointing if they come home from this road trip and they get a total split versus the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals in 8 games. Right now, they're 7-5 in their 12 games they played in the 19 of these subpar teams. They need to go much better versus Kansas City and Detroit to end this off, as I would thought they would do in 13-6. But, they got to run the table pretty much to get there.
You're right. That's 7-5 in their last 12 against Colorado, Oakland, Kansas City, and Texas. And you just look at it, too. I mean, you're going up against the Dodgers. The Twins are. I mean, the Twins can get dusted pretty easily out there in L.A. So, I mean, and right now you're 2 games back of Minnesota. You have a real nice series in Kansas City, and that August 12th date looks a lot better. Just to update you, too, on Vince Velasquez, he pitched a third of an inning down in Charlotte, allowed 3 hits, 2 walks, and 3 earned runs. So not... I mean, they call him rehab starts, right? He's rehabilitated.
Hasn't pitched in a long time. Yeah. He was on the injured list with that blister issue for a long time, and so I would imagine that just getting back into game action is a nice step forward for him, considering he's probably got a lot of rust to shake off. But also, who knows? I mean, they kind of rearranged his role there a little bit into the season and turned him into more of a relief guy than the swing man that we all thought he was going to be. And maybe the success that Davis Martin has had something to do with that, where he's jumped him on the depth chart. Certainly he's pitched well enough to do so. So obviously you want guys with as much versatility as you can get. You run into trouble one day and someone's out in the first inning and you need a guy to go in there and eat up 4 innings, and it's not a time when Davis Martin is on the roster or something like that. So obviously, nice to have that versatility in Velasquez, but his road back might take a bit because, like I said, a lot of rust that he's got to shake off before we can even start worrying about where he's at from a performance standpoint.
And not only has Davis Martin jumped him as the starter, I think that Jimmy Lambert, that dude has jumped a lot of people as a reliever. Who would have thought that Jimmy Lambert would be one of our favorite best relievers this year? Him and Ronaldo Lopez have done the job from failed starters, I'll put those in quotes, to being guys that you can rely on every time they go out there. Whenever I see Jimmy Lambert now, I'm like, man, game's over. Or this inning is cash because Jimmy Lambert's going to give you a chance. I think he's got, 12 straight outings where he's given up nothing. Ronaldo Lopez, now you're seeing Joe Kelly come into what Joe Kelly usually does. Kendall Graveman's a little bit better. And Liam Hendricks, the bullpen is what Rick Hahn envisioned him to be, even though the pieces might be a little bit different. And sure, he didn't expect that Jimmy Lambert be a big-time contributor to this bullpen or Raylo, but they're top of the, like, when I think about the bullpen, I'm like, man, let's go and get Jimmy Lambert. That's what saved the game today. Like, Lucas can only go through 5. Jimmy Lambert get the ball in the 6th, and I was like, cool, I'm fine with that.
You're right.
It's going to be smooth.
That 12 straight outings, Jimmy Lambert has not allowed a run. I think it's now 12 2/3 in his last 12 games where he has not allowed an earned run. 6 hits in those 12 2/3 innings, 5 walks, and 9 Ks. And we got a super chat. Shout out to our guy Nathan coming in. Vinny, what's your read on Pito's response to the question about the team's intensity and focus? Much to do about nothing. Steven, do we still have that screenshot? Because we talked a little bit about this in the pregame. James Fegan ended up asking, and I guess, I don't know if it was James specifically, but James ended up tweeting out, or it was Daryl who tweeted it out. Daryl, through the translator, Billy Russo, asked Jose Abreu if the intensity and focus is where it should be. Pito said, and this was last night, the only thing that I can control is just trying every day to do my best and bring the best to the organization. That's the one thing I can control. I don't have control over other things other than that. So what do you make of Jose Abreu's comments? Much ado about nothing?
I think it would probably lean toward much ado about nothing, in my opinion, because listen, we got to recognize the history of Jose Abreu's public comments, dating all the way back to before any of his, mentees arrived at the major league level. I mean, he is a guy who has been the biggest cheerleader for these young players and for where the rebuilding process was heading. He is, he calls these guys his kids. He is not going to throw them under the bus in a public setting, I don't believe. What I will say is, we don't live in a vacuum, and I don't blame people for reading those like that, because when you have that coupled with the results that have been throughout now, more than 4 months of baseball, you can't help but kind of read them that way. And I certainly saw that when I read them for the first time too. But you got to think about who it is that's saying these things, and I read that more, to be quite honest with you, I read that more as a non-answer to the question that was asked than it is some sort of, dig at teammates who might not be doing the same thing that he is. I see it more as like, you know what? I'm just going to do my thing and the same way that I've always done it, and I'm not really going to comment on this. Yeah.
It seems like him and AJ Pollock come of the same cut, of the same cloth, I guess, just because you see both of them hustling on the box, right? You see them kind of showing it on the field rather than saying stuff through the media. Like, it would be pretty shocking for Jose Abreu in the 8 years that he's been here to now finally make a comment like this. Like, it really doesn't seem like Jose Abreu's just character to make a comment through the media like that. It's mostly, I'm going to show you that I'm a leader by playing 162 games each and every season.
Yeah, and I really do think that he's talking about, well, this is the thing I can control. Maybe he thinks, there have been times this season where he was slumping really badly. You know what I mean? Where he was not getting the results that he wanted. Now, obviously, that has turned around in a big way. But, as far as the team goes, he's been on some really bad White Sox teams. You know what I mean? And this is not the worst one. He has been on teams that have lost 100 games. He's been on teams that have lost 95 games. he is a guy who is very much the exact same every single day. The work ethic, you've heard it 1,000 times from every different person who's talked about him, is unmatched. He is Mr. Lead by Example, no doubt about it. And if he is saying what he said, that Darryl reported on there, that's what he meant. He meant, listen, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing the thing that I've done for my entire life, and that's what I'm going to control. Hopefully the results are what they are. I mean, he talks about this when you ask him about the team struggles, when you ask him about when in those moments when he is not hitting very well, he just says, well, I'm going to just keep doing the same thing, and hopefully it turns around because I have faith in that my preparation and my work is the correct way to go about things. So, I understand why people read that the way it did, because everything has context in the way this season is going. Everything has the same context in the way this season is going. But of all the people who would say something like that and mean it the way a lot of people read it, Jose Abreu is not one of them.
And just a side note, and I know it's not Jose's fault or you guys in the media's fault, I would love to hear from Jose, Yohan Moncada, Lurie Garcia, all these guys a little bit more. I know they got to go through a translator because that's what they feel comfortable getting their message out in their native tongue. I would love to hear them speak a lot more than it's actually out in public, because, man, that is a leader. That guy has been with the White Sox, and at the end of the day, he will have a statue out there at Guaranteed Rate or wherever the ballpark's going to be after he retires. But, yeah, it's so few and far between we hear from him, and I know that language barrier, and Billy Russo's doing other things. He's got an actual job of, like he's in media relations. Mm-hmm. So, translating for every single Spanish-speaking guy might be a chore for him, but I would just love to hear from those guys a little bit more. It's just like refreshing to hear them, and I wish I knew Spanish more so I can just understand them and hear them in their native tongue, because I think it's very unfair that we default as fans as, hey, speak English. You're in America, speak English. No, let them speak what they want to say in Spanish, and let us decipher what they're saying, because we come up to their level. We're learning Spanish a little bit more, and they don't need to speak English for us to understand it.
Well, and I mean, I can address what you just said there for the most part. It's just like the guys who speak English. It's on an individual basis. Mm-hmm. Some guys will, say, yeah, I'll talk to you anytime you want, and you just got to make sure that the interpreter comes over and helps you out. And the starting pitchers, they obviously have to talk every fifth day when they go. But some of them decide that that's going to be the only time they want to talk. Jose Abreu is mostly will talk on a very limited basis. He as his career has gone on, and again, he is far from the only person that does this in baseball. He is far from the only big name player who does this in baseball. I remember when I first started, when I interned in 2012, and I was covering the Royals in Kansas City, but the part of my job was if the visiting writer from MLB.com didn't come to cover the visiting team, I would have to go cover the visiting team. So this was right after Pujols signed with the Angels, right? And so I was covering the Angels this series, and I didn't know any of the politics or anything, and I walked up to Albert Pujols, and I'm like, hey, do you got a minute? And he said, yeah, okay, after batting practice or whatever, go ahead. And the other Angels writers came up to me and he was like, thank God you did that. We can never talk to him. Like, we know that we're not going to get to talk to him. Like, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did it and it worked. Thank you for doing that kind of thing. And so some of those guys just, they once they get to big name status, they're going to talk on their terms. And when they do, they'll answer all the questions. But, they don't necessarily want it to interrupt their routine to be an everyday kind of thing. Jose Abreu has kind of gone in a little more of that direction, but certainly will, talk when he has a big game and that kind of thing. But just to, bring up your point about these guys not hearing from them as often or something like that, it's a very individual thing sometimes. And yes, the language barrier obviously does play a role between us English-speaking media members and the Spanish-speaking players, and it would be great if that could be, knocked down by our work as well as much as anybody else's. But it also has to do with just individual player preferences.
Then just after an 8-0 loss where you have 2 hits, does that mean – do you look at Jose speaking a little bit more intensely then? Like, does that
I don't know. I wasn't there,
right.
Obviously. So I don't know what the circumstances there were. Perhaps it was it does seem this year, and I could be miscounting, it seems that he has talked more on the road, maybe to a smaller group of media rather than, a lot of cameras and stuff like that. But certainly, I wouldn't claim to know what happened because I wasn't there. So
it's a lot easier talking to Daryl, James, and Lamont Pope than 20 other media outlets when you're at the G rate, because it's
sure, and
it's
perhaps
small media.
and not only that too, it's sometimes that is seen as a reward, for lack of a better term, for the traveling writers who who have made their way out to the road series. It's like, all right, we're going to make sure that you guys get who you want to talk to on the road. When we're at home, it's kind of more who can we get based on so many people being in the clubhouse.
Absolutely. And shout out to Eli Stein, who dropped in with a super chat from Israel, watching proudly. Our guy. It's got to be at like midnight out there, dropping
late night.
It is 2 a.m. over there.
It's 2 a.m. dropping an Israeli news shekel. So thank you, Eli Stein. And he brings up AJ is batting 400 as a leadoff hitter. I want to bring this up. We're talking about Jose Abreu. Jose had 3 hits today. He goes 3 for 5. AJ Pollock goes 3 for 5. You also have Eloy getting 2 hits. He went 2 for 5. Vaughn went 3 for 5 with a home run. Leury Garcia went 3 for 5 with a home run. And our guy, Shea Fidel Garcia, also mentioning that Jose Abreu needs to step it up. He's hitting 300, 380, and 470. So
that's on the season.
Yeah, and he's got an MVP as well.
Believe he leads the American League in hits. Is that correct? After today, or at some point today, he did.
Let me see.
Thought I saw that somewhere.
But what'd you guys make of the performance today? AJ Pollock had a nice day. You picked him to click.
I did, and I know people want him to be the leadoff hitter going forward, as Tim has struggled.
They don't.
Oh my God, Twitter is going wild. A
lot of comments today on our chat right here.
Yeah, they're going wild, and I would maybe entertain that if AJ Pollock was an everyday player, but with the current roster the White Sox has, AJ is not a full-time everyday player. So no, I won't entertain that he's the guy. Tim, we know, can get the job done, and we know before the season's over the old Tim will show up. Right now he's in a slump. That happens in seasons, and this is probably the first time it really, since Tim has become the guy he is right now, that he's had a months-long slumps that he's going through right now. So I believe Tim, with a couple days off, the suspension that he's serving right now for this game that we just had and the first game in Kansas City will do him well. So he comes back Friday or Tuesday night and he's ready to play. And down the stretch, he can be fresh with the legs, fresh with the mind, and contribute to the White Sox as the leadoff hitter. Now, if AJ was a guy that was an everyday guy, maybe I would entertain it, but no, not right now.
We have talked so many times. This dates back to before spring training even started about what Tim means to this team when he's at full capacity, when he's at his full power, so to speak. He is a guy that cannot be matched with what he can do driving the bus for this team, powering this lineup when he is sitting at the top of it like that. I mean, you guys see it, and it's become almost, something that people make fun of, that going the other way for the single and something like that. Guys, that's good.
Yes.
That is something that he can do to get on in front of RBI guys like Abreu or Eloy or Luis Robert or Vaughn. Tim Anderson, when Tim Anderson is Tim Anderson,
right,
nobody can do for this White Sox team what he can do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's why he won a batting title. Right. I mean, he gets on at crazy rates, and yeah, he's hitting 249 since his injury back on June 20th. I think Tim has earned the benefit of the doubt to turn that around. And again, AJ Pollock isn't an everyday player. I don't think AJ Pollock leading off is going to, honestly end up in him being a 400 leadoff hitter. Like AJ Pollock, in a very small sample size, because TA is your leadoff hitter, is hitting 400 because he's a professional hitter that knows how to get a job done. But Tim Anderson has made his career based off of that spot. I think he's earned it. Hopefully he's able to turn it around, because if he's not, the White Sox aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Tim Anderson needs to start turning it around at the top of the lineup for the White Sox to pull ahead out of this 500, kind of just swamp that they're in. Abreu now 122 hits on the year. Dansby Swanson has 123. Riley has 124. Goldschmidt has 127. Trey Turner has 133. And Freddie Freeman has 134. So
all
I think
national leaguers.
Yeah, so I think he might lead the American.
He does lead the AL. He's one ahead of Xander Bogaerts.
Wow. So congratulations to
the hit king.
Jose Abreu, the hit king in the American League. And that's what basically happens when you hit 300 and play 150-something games each and every year. We will have an off-day show for you tomorrow at 2:30. We will be previewing the Kansas City Royals series that's coming up for the White Sox in Kansas City, again at 2:30 p.m. here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. The White Sox win this game and split the series out in Texas, deep in the heart of Texas. Thank you. That was very in sync as well. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's a CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence in the CHGO Skyline shirt. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. You can follow the show on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox, and you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Make sure you check out the CHGO locker and that brand new size C shirt. It is brand new, hot off the presses. You want to go get that before, again, he turns into the Cy Young we all think he will be. Dylan Cease is having a phenomenal year, so go celebrate that with the new merch in the CHGO locker. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us. Mr. Garcia, Midwest Rippin, Clark, now Nathan Sheba as well, who jumped in with the super chat. Eli as well. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. Save Ferris. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us and watching and downloading. Join us tomorrow for the off day show. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show, and thank you to Fleetwood Mac for their 1979 album Tusk. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go White Sox.